following is a presentation of HBO Sports.
Hello again, I'm Jim Lampley. Welcome to Boxing's Best, the series on which we look back at the most significant prize fights to have aired on HBO in calendar 2015. 140-pound title holder Terence Crawford had already signed to defend against Montreal-based Haitian challenger Crawford Jean in his hometown of Omaha, Nebraska, when promoter Bob Arum began casting the appearance in a different light. Let's specify that longtime pay-per-view linchpin Manny Pacquiao plans to fight next spring. Arum openly challenged his rising American star to do something exciting before the home crowd, something that would stamp him as the right guy to fight the Filipino legend. So Crawford took umbrage at statements Jean's manager made at a pre-fight news conference and began nurturing a productive chip on his shoulder. The ecstatic, corn-fed crowd whooped it up in anticipation of another hot night on the banks of the Missouri River. October 24, the way I called it, with Roy Jones and Max Kellerman.
Okay, let's go. Let's go. All right, bud, come on. Okay, where's the chief second? Right here. Wipe some of that down. Over here. Okay. Okay, gentlemen, you both received your instructions in your dressing room. Okay. It goes right here is okay. Anything below that's low. Right here is okay. Anything below that's low. I want a good, clean fight. Obey my commands at all times. Above all, protect yourselves at all times. Let's go.
If Crawford Jean puts himself in a position to even win this fight, then Terence Crawford and the crowd here will have gotten more than they bargained for. If not, the style in which Crawford goes about winning the fight will probably determine whether or not he meets Manny Pacquiao in April.
And as the fight begins, there is one new piece of boxing news on the web. A report from ESPN's Dan Rayfield that Bob Arum, just before the fight tonight, has doubled down on the established expectation of the promoter that Manny Pacquiao will fight one more time, April 9, 2016, and retire following that fight. Top Rank makes no bones about the fact that, just as Max Kellerman has established, this is Terence Crawford's audition to fight Manny Pacquiao in April. One Crawford asset we've seen early in some of his fights, Roy Jones, patience. It wasn't necessarily patience that saw him fall behind in the early going against Yuriorkis Gamboa, but earlier this year against Thomas Delorme, it was clearly patience that allowed him to set up an eventual knockout.
Yeah, because Terence Crawford makes moves that are always boxing related. He doesn't go out there and just do things for the fun of it or for the heck of it, as we would say. He goes out there and does things that are going to set something up in rounds to come. So he's not out there looking to do everything in the first round. No, he establishes a jab, gets his positioning right, gets his distance properly mapped out, and then he goes to work off of it. So whatever he sets up in round one or starts to set up in round 1, 2, and 3, it all depends on the corner as to when he'll put it in motion. And it's a beautiful thing to see the relationship between him and the corner and the way that they dictate when we'll unleash this dog and let him out.
Terence Crawford actually has two trainers, Esau Dieguez and Brian McIntyre. Both of them function as trainers. Both talk to him during the fight in the corners. Hard right hand by Crawford Jean over the top.
Nice
little grin on
right
Crawford's
hand.
face.
And that was a boxing move as well. So you got to give Crawford Jean some credit, because you see right there, he's very high skilled at the sport of boxing. Not many guys can catch a guy as slick as Terence Crawford with a counter right hand over the top of his jabs.
We saw in the Gamboa fight that Gamboa's speed bothered Crawford early, and then eventually Crawford's masterful boxing and multi-dimensional game and size overcame Gamboa. It's interesting because, of course, Manny Pacquiao has very fast hands and a lot of power. Crawford Jean able to land that lead right hand right off of Crawford's dome.
And now Crawford switches southpaw for the first time. And there's a little buzz in the crowd. They've seen that before. Switching southpaw, completely turned around the Gamboa fight. And immediately he starts landing right jabs and a straight left hand against Crawford Jean.
And it's so funny, Jim, because most right-handers can't counter the southpaw jab with a straight right hand. You got to try to counter it with the hook, which makes it much more dangerous.
Hard right hand by Crawford. Down goes Jean. First knockdown of the fight comes in the first round.
Just like in the Gamboa fight, he switched to southpaw and scored a knockdown.
Hey, come in, come in. Okay, you good? Yeah. Okay, here. Ring the bell, ring the bell.
Knockdown came late in the round. What a big roar from the crowd as they approve of the label that Crawford provided at the end of the round. Watch my right hand out of the southpaw stance.
Great job there. Breathe, okay. Try to be more offensive here.
Now you see Crawford southpaw. He throws a 1-2, and Darius tries to counter the left hand, which is a straight left this time, and allows you to get caught with the right hook because you got to get closer to counter the straight left than you would have had to get to counter the left jab. And that's how he used the distance to drop Darius Jean.
And there's the reaction of one of the two trainers in Crawford's corner, Brian McIntyre, pretty happy with the quick right hook that produced the knockdown.
We've discussed it in Terence Crawford fights in the past. Yes, he's a slick boxer, he's a stylist, he's highly skillful, but he's also a mean dude in there. And in between rounds, he was staring balefully at Jean across the ring as though he were Sonny Liston. He had a deadpan look, staring right across the ring at Jean.
Well, you know, Max, it goes back to the old-time fighters. Old-time fighters meant that they were the best. They wanted the belt. They wanted to beat everybody in their weight class, in their way. And he has that same mean streak about him. He's not concerned about, worry about, whether he wins or whether he loses. He believes he can beat everybody. And that's why he carries himself the way that he does.
He's a boxer who carries himself like a puncher in terms of his attitude.
Well, more like a fighter. He want to fight them all. He don't care if he knocks them out or if he beats them all night. That's why sometimes the performances seem a little lackluster to some of us, but you got to know what he is. He knows how to do both. He knows how to box, and he knows how to battle.
Watching Terence Crawford fight so effectively out of a southpaw stance with his stronger hand in front makes me wonder how many more conventionally equipped fighters we're going to see in the future switching to the southpaw stance to get that stronger hand out in front.
Well, I mean, it's a smart thing. Even when Marvin used to use it, Marvin would give fighters a whole lot more trouble than he from the southpaw position at times than he did from the orthodox position. There were some people that thought he should have stayed southpaw more against Sugar Ray Leonard.
That's our third Marvin Hagler reference tonight. I love it.
How could you not have Marvin Hagler references on a Gennady Golovkin show?
Or a Terence Crawford show, the way he switches up southpaw orthodox.
Gary Jean looked so much more comfortable against the conventional stance. I mean, he knew this would happen, and he says that he has sparred with southpaws equally to the amount of rounds that he sparred with conventional fighters because he understood that Crawford was going to do this. But from the moment Crawford switched southpaw, he's been more effective.
Well, it's because when Crawford switched southpaw, the things he had figured out as an orthodox do not work against the southpaw. And Crawford knew that too. So as soon as Darius Jean got something figured out, Crawford changed the game on it, and it put him in shock. But Darius still doing a good job. He has good distance on his punches. He's sharp. He's fighting well. It's just that Crawford is a master at what he does.
Yeah, landed one punch more than Crawford did in the first round. It was a relatively close round numerically, but the knockdown made it a 10-8 round for Terence Crawford.
Yeah, this is not bad Jean. It's really good Crawford.
Wobbles him again with another right hook. Immediately following this episode, stay tuned for another edition of Boxing's Best 2015. We take you back to the slugfest between Mexican star Canelo Alvarez and rugged James Kirkland. December 28th, Boxing's Best of 2015 features two of the sport's most offensive fighters, Lucas Matisse and Ruslan Provodnikov, followed by a welterweight showdown between Timothy Bradley and Brandon Bam Bam Rios. Warren Buffett was in Terence Crawford's dressing room before the fight, as you saw, and now there he is in his normal seat
here in the arena, not ringside, not the best possible seat, not the kind of seat that you know that Warren Buffett could afford, but rather a middle-of-the-road seat for a middle-of-the-road guy.
Warren, shoot the locks off the wallet. It's okay.
Round 3 begins.
View's great from ringside. Come on down.
Terence Crawford has had big moments in both the first and second rounds, landing power right hooks after having switched into the southpaw stance. Now we go to the third round, and Jean looks to find another answer against what Crawford has done.
And the other thing, Jim, is you see how low Jean carries his left hand?
Yes.
It's very difficult for him to get inside of Crawford because that right hook comes right there where that left hand is low at. So anytime he advances too close to Crawford, he's open for a right hook counter. And that's what has dropped him. That's what dropped him the first time, and that's what hurt him in the second round.
I really don't like Jean when he goes backward. And when you see an orthodox fighter, right-handed fighter, meaning he leads with his left, circling counterclockwise, he's basically going backward. The southpaw is forcing him essentially to retreat.
Jean just looks like he has no answer against the southpaw stance. No confidence in any of the things he might be thinking of trying to do. Pawing with the jab, just sort of putting it out there as if to say, I know I'm supposed to consider throwing a jab, but I'm not really trying to throw it because I don't want to get clocked with another right hook.
I think the number one reason Crawford switches southpaw sometimes against smaller, quicker fighters, Roy, is he gets a better view of their right hand. It takes longer for that right hand to travel to him, and I think he sees it better.
Well, not only does he see it better, but it also allows him to counter quicker because he gets to counter with the short hook on their long right hand.
Especially since he usually establishes the position with his lead foot.
We talked about Terence Crawford's amateur career, now thriving as a professional. Recently, we received word from the family of Howard Davis, 1976 United States Olympian and later high-quality American professional, that Howard Davis, who many of you will remember, is suffering from stage 4 lung cancer, and Roy Jones, a noteworthy figure in American boxing.
Yeah, he was a very noteworthy figure, Jim. I learned more about boxing and about life from watching Howard Davis from the outskirts. He was the guy who won the Val Barker Cup, which was the most outstanding boxer of the '76 Olympics, with Sugar Ray Leonard, both of the Spinks brothers, Leo Randolph, 5 gold medals, and he was the best boxer there. This guy's a guy that people don't understand had some of the quickest hands, smoothest feet, and one of the best amateur fighters to ever live.
And has never smoked in his life, but now suffers from stage 4 lung cancer. We at HBO Boxing extend our best wishes, hopes, and encouragement to Howard Davis and his family.
When you want to throw that straight left, jab at his right hand. All right? So you got to catch him. You got to catch him from throwing his right hand. And sometimes if you need to double up that left hand, double it up. Okay? Because he don't have a jab. The only thing you got is the right hand, so you jab at that motherfucker. Bing, bing. Okay? One more order. Let me see that towel. Let me get some grease. Let me get some grease.
David Lemieux here live in Omaha, supporting his stablemate, Jean, and a good smile on David's face 1 week after the loss to Golovkin. Will be seen in the ring again for sure.
And Jim, I just got to say it in a minute, but I don't want to keep elaborating on the fact, but anytime a guy can be Hill McKenty, Aaron Pryor, and Tommy Hearns in the same week as an amateur, how good does that tell you he has to be?
That's a Hall of Fame career. He did it in a week.
Talking about Howard Davis, there is a Howard Davis Foundation, so if you want to contribute to his care, Google it, and you will find it. Harold Letterman, how do you have it through 3?
Okay, so I got a 3-0, 30-26. Terence Crawford. He gets an extra point in round 1 for the knockdown. He uses the ring beautifully, Jim. I tell you, he stays at exactly the right distance where he can score with that long right jab that he throws and come across with the straight left hand. You know, he really looks terrific. By the way, Howard Davis had one of the greatest left jabs I ever saw. God bless him. I hope the heck he recovers.
There's Jean circling counterclockwise against the southpaw, and then it's really Crawford forcing him that way. See how his outside foot, his lead right foot gets outside of Jean's left foot, leaving Jean nowhere to go, except counterclockwise.
Almost instantly after switching southpaw, Crawford dropped Jean in the first round with a right hook, then staggered him again in the second round with a right hook, and has continued in the southpaw stance, landing power punches ever since.
Yeah, Jean doesn't seem ready or properly prepared to deal with this southpaw style. You know, you come to fight Terence Crawford, anybody who knows Terence knows that he's just as good left-handed, if not better, as he is right-handed. So when you face Terence Crawford, you have to know that at some point you're going to see a lot of southpaw.
And Jean has spent considerable time as a sparring partner for Manny Pacquiao. So he's seen southpaw. But of course, Manny Pacquiao is a shorter southpaw, not nearly as lengthy as Terence Crawford, and it's that ability of Crawford to sort of expand like a rubber band in there that makes him very difficult to fight.
Crawford is fighting like a guy who knows that this is his pay-per-view ticket in front of him, and he needs to punch it, and he's literally punching it right now.
What a thrill for boxing fans. Within 8 days, a motivated Chocolatito trying to put on a show and make a point, a motivated Gennady Golovkin trying to put on a show and make a point, and now a motivated Terence Crawford trying to put on a show and make a point. Crawford family at ringside. They know how to celebrate. They know how to have a good time.
You see how it works this round? Okay, I want the next round just same. I only want you to move your head a little bit. Yeah, because you're coming straight. You're doing everything good. Just keep doing what you're doing. Keep your hands up, moving your head. That's our point. What?
Here you see Crawford come in with a straight left lead, followed by the cross jab, not really a hook, a cross jab, then an overhand left, and he follows back with another right hook on the top of the head. Those punches had Derek Jean, yes, nice going to the wrong corner. Didn't know he was in Crawford's corner, and Crawford said, hey, buddy, your corner's across the ring. Get out of here.
CompuBox jab numbers through 4. Crawford is 42 out of 139, Jean 7 out of 81. So Terry Jean is throwing jabs, but he's not landing them, and Crawford is basically ignoring them as he steps past Jean's jab to land his right jab, his right hook, or body shots. Tony Weeks saying that that was a slip as Jean's glove touched the canvas.
Even the way Crawford directed Jean out of his corner, it wasn't, hey, let's make nice, there's your corner, I'm helping you. It was, get out of my corner. He's a mean little sucker in there.
And he should be, right, Max?
Of course. I mean, this is...
It's a fight.
I mean, we can't share this bench. Can't one of us sit over here. Get out of here.
Crowd expectant, cheering their man on, waiting for the moment when he puts Jean on the canvas again. 11,020 is the reported attendance here at the CenturyLink Center in Omaha.
And that meanness, I think, is at the when he's in the ring, that competitiveness is at the core of what makes him special as a fighter, Roy. We see a lot of guys, maybe not with his boxing ability, but with boxing ability, fast fighters, skillful fighters, and they never get to the next level because sometimes they lack that competitiveness in them that makes them always want to have the upper hand in every instance.
Yeah, some guys don't have that competitiveness about them. But as we know, Bud, we've learned about Bud. Bud wants to win at everything. I mean, he's been trying to get guys to come play him in basketball. He wants to challenge me in fishing. I mean, he wants to win at everything he does. And that's the great sign or the great marks of a great champion.
Right, the kind of defectively competitive personality. We see it across the sports landscape with the special athletes.
Hard left hand by Crawford. Drives Jean into the corner. Crawford was smiling at him before he launched this assault. Crawford's actually having fun in there tonight.
He is putting on a show. A hurt show.
And listen, John is a gambler, so he got to keep himself careful, keep his head down, because John will throw a hook like that or overhand right at a time when Crawford least expects it. So he better keep his hands up while he's doing it. Because John, by heart, is a gambler.
I think Crawford got the memo because he just blocked 2 of those shots after you said that, Roy. And blood's coming out of the right eye
Of Derry Jean.
Of Derry Jean.
Crawford was looking to set up a straight left hand, finally fired it.
And you saw Jean count it right away.
Got another big round. Terence Crawford.
The 2015 edition of Boxing's Best continues on December 29 with 2 great fights. First up, it's big drama show. Gennady Golovkin versus David Lemieux for the middleweight title. And then it's one of the best fights of the year, a lights-out showdown between Takashi Miura and Francisco Vargas.
What is it ahead, bud? It's okay. Go put time in. Put time in. Next round. Il va essayer. En dessous de son crochet. Et monter avec son crochet de gauche, en dessous de son crochet.
Try to send more jabs with your left hand and try to go lower on him.
Et monter le crochet.
Try to be a little bit more good with your punches and be lower on him.
Crawford comes out in the southpaw stance for round number 6. He's been mostly in the southpaw stance since the closing seconds of round 1 when he made the switch and knocked Derry Jean down.
I mean, if the other guy doesn't show you that you need to change something, why change it? He's completely dominated the fight since he switched southpaw, Crawford. It's allowed, I think, primarily him to see that right hand of Jean's coming and to back Jean up. And Jean is not very effective going backward.
Roy, with your extraordinary athletic talent, certainly you had the ability to switch southpaw if you wanted to. How often did you do it?
I did it on several occasions against people like Richard Hall, Louis Deval, because he was a southpaw. I switched up occasionally to confuse guys, show them something different, make them try to gamble to try to hit me because I was southpaw. They knew I was so superior as a right-hander that they couldn't hit me. So when I turned southpaw sometimes, it would prompt them to come at me. And when they did, they get just what I wanted them to do, and they get exactly what they asked for.
Did you ever worry that sparring as a southpaw would mess up your timing from the other side?
Never, ever. If you have timing like us superior athletes have, then whether it's left-handed or right-handed, the timing is still going to be there.
Body shot by Crawford.
Really nice straight left hand right to the chest by Crawford.
Good right hand by Jean as well.
Jean has landed, but they are few and far between. Crawford, when he wants to, can put together combinations.
Like that.
Another right hook.
Right uppercut.
Switching back to the conventional stance. Shocking Jean with the conventional stance. Suddenly landing power shots out of that and then going back to southpaw right away.
Because he wants to land that hook right there right away.
That's another thing about Crawford, you know, in spite of the boxing skill, which he could use simply to minimize risk, he likes to fight. He likes to mix it up. That's in him.
And Jean does too, obviously, because he's pushing the pace now.
That's Jean's only chance.
crowd chanting Crawford, Crawford. Brings a smile to TC's face. Was missing with a right hand that might have put Jean down again.
Jean is game.
Okay, now just keep doing that sharp punches. And I want you to start catching him with the right hand. Depends. If you go in left hand, I want the right hook. Okay? You know what?
You see Crawford get caught with a straight right hand trying to throw a left uppercut, but he comes right back like Triple G and lands a better right hand than the one he got caught with. And with that being said, he did immediately attack Jean, feeling like he maybe could get a stoppage. So he went to him, switched back southpaw to land his big shots, and Jean come off the ropes and survived it.
Round 7 of a scheduled 12. We are halfway through. Harold Letterman, how do you have it through 6?
Okay, Jim, I got it 6-0, 60-53, Terence Crawford. You know, Jim, everybody said this guy was a slow starter. I think he's hurt Thierry Jean in virtually every round. He's landing a cleaner, harder shots. He messed up Jean's right eye in the 6th round. I mean, he's totally dominating this fight. Clean punching, effective aggressiveness. I don't think he's a slow starter at all. 6-0, Terence Crawford.
You know, we showed, you saw that right hand that Thierry Jean was able to land cleanly against Crawford. Even great defensive fighters, and Crawford's a very good one. Pernell Whitaker, Floyd Mayweather, whomever, can be hit with a shot. Very difficult to hit them with 2, with more than 1 shot at a time. And we've seen in this fight even Thierry Jean here and there catch Crawford a shot, but we haven't seen him put anything together.
Nope, because if he goes to catch him with one more, he'll get caught himself by a bigger and better punch. And I don't really recall any of us saying that Bud was a slow starter. I never thought he was a slow starter. I thought he was a meticulous starter, a guy who picks out and takes his time, but I never called him a slow starter.
It was the 4th round of the fight with Yuriorkis Gamboa, and Gamboa had controlled the action up to that point when Crawford switched southpaw. Roy Jones, brilliantly at that moment, immediately said, oh, this is a problem. He's going to get painted with right hands. And Gamboa did indeed paint Crawford with right hands right away, as soon as Roy said that. But within 30 seconds after that, Crawford had exactly what he wanted. Gamboa coming toward him, able to land the right hands with leverage and power, turned the fight around.
And that's exactly what happened. When guys feel like they can get to you because they couldn't get to you as well as they could as an orthodox fighter, and you turn southpaw, they think, here's my chance. And I knew that Gamboa was slick enough to land 1 or 2, so right away Gamboa landed 1 or 2, but it gave him a false sense of confidence. Then he thought that, okay, I can go after him. And when he did, he got himself crushed.
Maxie said that Crawford is a very good defender. CompuBox has found Thierry Jean landing 1 punch so far in this round. 1 punch.
And Crawford would be a more perfect defender if he was a little less offensive-minded, but he likes to fight. It's not an all-out kind of passionate slugfest type fight that he likes to engage in, but he likes to punish the other guy.
Yeah, I think he can be a defensive shutdown guy when he chooses to be. But more often, he's an offensive fighter. Now switches back to the conventional stance. Lands the right hand again. Lands a left hook. Lands a straight right hand. Gets in a left of the body. Closing the round with activity.
Doing what you're doing, man. Working that jab and shit, all right? Throw some more feints and pick it up with your body action and see what he'll do. You know how when you're walking him down? When you're walking down and giving him different looks, what he tends to do is he tends to ball up and curl in. Ball up a little bit, all right?
Great job with your right hand. I want you to keep on doing that. Try to be a little bit more aggressive with that. Try to stay focused there.
Round 8 of a scheduled 12. Terrence Crawford so far 110 out of 339. By CompuBox count, that's 32%. And Derry Jean 42 out of 249. So Crawford has landed 68 more punches than Derry Jean through 7 rounds. And according to Harold Letterman's unofficial card, has won every round, including a knockdown in the first round. This is 70-62. Max Kellerman has gone to Terrence Crawford's corner to check in with Crawford's good friend, co-manager, and co-trainer, Brian McIntyre. Let's go there.
Coach, what do you think of Terrence's performance so far?
I think he's doing a damn good job. He's keeping Jerry outside where he wanted him at, using his range, using his reach, catching him, keeping that jab in his face. Look at his face. His face is all busted up.
Bud seems to be able to do as he pleases. He's beating Derry Jean up. With the talk of a Pacquiao pay-per-view fight looming in April, should he win impressively tonight? Do you feel he's pushing for a knockout? Do you want to see a knockout?
Well, whatever. If it's not gonna come, we'll take it. I told him to pick it up a little bit, just with his body action, because when he started moving towards him, Jerry, all he does, look, he goes into like a little shell. So if you give him different looks, and then you could be able to see a little something.
Any concern about those right hands that he throws counter punch at Thierry?
No, I'm not concerned at the right hands, because he don't throw him a lot. He throw him just throw him out there, then he try to spring in and throw it. But most of the time, Bud just catching him with his left hand like that.
Finally, Bud seems really animated for this fight, maybe more than in the past. Is there some extra energy here tonight because of what's at stake?
Yeah, because he was talking shit. Well, Away was talking shit. I'm not worried about what's next, what's coming up next. He was talking shit, talking about he going to come in and beat Bud's ass and shit in his own city, in his own ring. Tell him, no, hell no, it's not going to happen.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you.
There was some trash talk going as Derry Jean and his manager, Camille Estefan, were very public in saying there's a rematch clause in case we win the fight, and we're going to tell you right now that the rematch will be here in Omaha. Once we knock Bud Crawford out here in Omaha, we'll come back and fight him here again. That was enough to get under Crawford's skin and give him a little bit of extra motivation here.
Yeah, but I don't think McIntyre referred to it as trash. I think he called it something else. Oh, good shot.
Hard right hand by Jean. His best punch of the fight so far. And maybe they should be a little more concerned about the right hand. That got Crawford's attention, and now Crawford wants to answer that.
Right hand
Gets hit with another hard right hand.
I told you, John.
Two big right hands by Jean in this round.
I told you, John is a devil.
And now Crawford wants to punish Jean the same way Golovkin punished Lemieux, and Tony Weeks
thought he heard the bell. It was
thought he heard the bell. Crowd doesn't like that because I think Weeks kept Crawford from getting a knockout.
That is something that happens in boxing from time to time in a noisy arena. The ref thinks that the 10-second warning is the bell.
Yeah, great job either. Keep punching him with your range. Try to stay focused. You're doing a great job there.
You know, Jean is an addictive person. He loves to gamble. And there you see him gambling with that overhand right. He finally got it to work. He's been taking a risk and doing it every time he got in trouble in previous times in the fight. This time he finally took that gamble, and it paid off just a little bit.
And moments after that, he landed exactly the same right hand. So there were two of them in the round. And Crawford clearly was trying to land big stuff back.
But good for Derry Jean. That's his chance to win. We've seen this recently. Last week, you saw it earlier in the broadcast with David Lemieux and Golovkin. His chance was a home run punch. And Jean knows it, and to his credit, from time to time, when he thinks he has it available to him, he's throwing it.
Hard right hand to the body by Crawford.
But it looked like he may have pissed Crawford off now, because Crawford seems to be coming at him a lot harder with a lot more aggression and trying to get him out now.
Yeah, he definitely got Crawford's attention with the two hard right hands. Let's see if Crawford risks too much, seeking to answer back. Straight right hand is the recommended tactic against a southpaw fighter. Crawford in that southpaw stance, opening himself up to right hands when he throws.
But as you see, John always stays properly prepared to take the risk of countering with that overhand right once Crawford makes a move at him. He just, because of the feints that Crawford is giving him, can never really calculate it right and get Crawford coming in at the right time. So he's taking a risk, but he never really times it properly to get the best shot until that last round.
Minute and a half to go in the ninth. Bob Arum said very explicitly, some of this will depend on how exciting Crawford is tonight against Jean. The reference, of course, is to the question of whether Crawford will get the opportunity to fight Manny Pacquiao on April 9, on what Bob Arum and Top Rank Boxing say very firmly will be Pacquiao's last appearance in the ring.
Crawford is a solid puncher, but not a Triple G kind of destructive knockout puncher, and that doesn't do his opponent any favors, because it prolongs these fights when he's throwing these mean shots and really tattooing and beating up his guy.
I disagree. I think he has just as much power on his punches for his weight class as a Triple G does, because he knows how to change the speed and the velocity on the punch. It's just that he's fighting a tougher guy, a guy who can take and absorb much more, a guy who only has one loss in his whole career, and that's after going through negative things and being able to survive this long like that. So this is definitely a much stiffer opponent that we've seen in front of Triple G. Besides,
we're going to have to
left hand by Crawford.
agree to disagree on the Triple G power point.
That punch momentarily buckled Jean's knee. He's down again. And John is telling Weeks he got hit on the back of the head. And now he's going to try to beat the count.
Come here. Good.
his legs are in bad shape.
Second knockdown of the fight at the end of round 9.
HBO Boxing is back in 2016 with a light heavyweight rematch. Sergey the Crusher Kovalev takes on Jean Pascal at the Bell Center in Montreal.
Okay. Huh? Hey.
Here you see Jean on the run from the left hand, but because he turned to his left like he did right there, and he slipped, I think, right here, and got caught with a left hand behind the head, and it was behind the head. He's telling the truth. It wasn't intentionally behind the head, but the second punch, which comes right here, was in the back of the head.
Very dangerous punch in boxing, one of the most dangerous things that can happen in the ring.
Not Crawford's fault if you employ a defense that twists your head away and you get caught in the back of the head. What's the other guy supposed to do?
Harold, how do you have it through 9?
Okay, Jim, I got it 90 to 79, 9 rounds to nothing. Terence Crawford. Jim, I gave him that 8th round with Terry Jean landed 2 quick right hands because he jumped right on Jean and hurt Jean after Jean landed the right hand. 9 to nothing, Crawford.
Could be closing in on an accumulation of punishment type knockout right now. John's legs don't look all that good this round, Roy.
No, and Crawford is definitely on the hunt.
And he's mixed in some real good hooks to the body, Crawford, with both hands.
2 hard right hooks off the top of the head. John looking for a way out of the corner. Can't find it. Getting hammered by Crawford. Hard left hand. Right hook. Another left cross.
Weeks is looking for an excuse to step in here.
Yeah, he is. And
We were close to a stoppage there for a moment.
Yeah.
Now John may have weathered that storm. Basically running now, but staying away.
Tough guy, but taking an awful beating.
Yeah, his corner stepped up on the ring, was about to stop it there, but he told him no. So once again, he's a guy who has the heart of a lion, does not want to give up, does not want to accept defeat here. And I love that in a fighter.
And he's shown enough pop at times, Roy, in those counters where you could understand where the corner thinks maybe he can score a miracle.
Vicious body shots there. Derry Jean is a tough guy. He has taken a lot of punishment here tonight to stay in the fight to the last minute of the 10th round. But he may be paying a career-compromising price for the privilege of staying in here this long.
Oh, good right hand by Derry.
There it is, and that's why the corner's not stopping it when he's asking them not to. He's shown enough of that to say maybe he could score a miracle upset with one of these Hail Marys. Very unlikely, but maybe not out of the realm of possibility.
The bad thing about it is that straight right hand right there will get him countered if he's not careful.
Yeah, and he's getting...
Caught with a right hook, caught with a left hand, and Tony Weeks is going to stop it.
Good stoppage by Tony Weeks. Save him from himself.
What a week at the summit of the sport. Chocolatito TKO 8, GGG TKO 9, Terence Crawford TKO 10.
You can't put normal fighters in front of this level of fighter. In front of Terence Crawford, Chocolatito, Triple G. If you put a normal kind of middle-of-the-pack contender, they have nothing for these guys. These guys are the cream of the crop, the elite of the sport.
So another great performance in Omaha by Terence Crawford against an extremely brave fighter in Derry Jean.
Yeah, Derry Jean was trying his best. Crawford on the hunt right here, sensing that Derry Jean's legs were weakening, constantly kept the pressure on, landing left hands and right hooks like that left hand right there. That hurt him. That hook sent him through the ropes. And the referee had seen enough at that point because he realized that Jean's legs were hurt and that Jean was not going to submit to this. You had to save him from himself at this point. And I think the referee did a great job of saving Derry Jean from himself.
Let's see Bomac's reaction. Brian McIntyre, very entertaining as he comes up onto the apron to celebrate the TKO. Team Crawford with another victory. And now let's go to ring announcer Michael Buffer for the particulars on the TKO.
Ladies and gentlemen, at 2 minutes, 30 seconds of round number 10, referee Tony Weeks calls a halt to this contest. The winner by TKO victory, still WBO Super Lightweight World Champion, the undefeated fighting pride of Omaha, Nebraska, Terence Crawford.
Final CompuBox numbers. Crawford dominant from the end of the first round on through the end of the fight. He lands 118 punches more. He throws 193 more and lands at a significantly higher connect percentage, more than doubling Derry Jean. Power shots, Crawford lands 40% of his power punches, most of them out of the southpaw stance. Right hooks, straight left hands. Jean lands 39 of 158, and most of the significant punches he landed were straight right hands. And we'll take a look at the punch zone graphic, which will show you where punches landed on the two fighters. Derry Jean only landing 10 body shots against Terence Crawford. Crawford landing a higher number of body shots against Jean, and then, of course, the headshots upstairs showing you that the predominant southpaw stance was significant because Crawford was landing his jab and landing that right hook to the left side of Jean's head. Let's go to Max Kellerman in the ring with the winner, Terence Crawford.
Congratulations, Terence, on what your coach just called a systematic beatdown. what did you know, a couple of years ago, the world didn't know who you were, and now big crowds come out to see you in your hometown defend your title. First, what does this feel like?
Well, first and foremost, I'd like to thank God for blessing me with this victory and being able to perform in front of my city. And second, thank everybody that came out, support me. Omaha, Nebraska, you showed up once again. I appreciate it. I'm just blessed. When I'm at home, I just feel the vibe, the electricity, and I just want to always go in there and put on a great show.
You did that tonight. What was you seemed more amped up than usual at times. In between some rounds, you'd land a good flurry, hurt them, and you'd be demonstrative about it. You would show that you were amped up. Why were you especially amped up for this fight?
Well, you can look to your left and you can see those two guys over there that called me out. He called me out twice. Did you get what you was looking for? Yeah. And then his manager guaranteed me that he was going to walk away to Canada with my belt from my hometown, and I felt that was disrespectful.
So you're still hot about this. You're the winner. You won by knockout, and you're still hot about this.
But yeah, I take things personal. Like he said, he took things personal. I took things personal too.
You seem to have that mean streak in you once you get in the ring, where you like to mix it up, even though you have a good defense. Where does that come from?
He said he was going to knock me out. He said he had power.
I mean in you. Where does that come from in you?
Oh, from where I come from. We used to fight all the time. You know? Anybody that's here today can tell you where I started from. And I was from the bottom, in the streets fighting, getting shot, working my way up in the rankings to now.
You started from the bottom, and now you're here, but you're not there yet, pay-per-view yet, unless maybe, which is the talk now, that you are next for Manny Pacquiao on pay-per-view in April in what is said to be his final fight. Your thoughts?
I'm ready. Bob, make it happen. I'm ready. You know, I'm going to let my handlers, Cameron Duncan, Brian McIntyre, talk to Bob Arum and Team Pacquiao team, and let's see if we can make that happen.
And finally, how do you see a matchup of you, Terence Crawford versus Manny Pacquiao?
You just got to watch it and see. It's going to be a thing to see.
Thank you, Bud. Congratulations. Another sensational performance.
Here to offer more insight into the continuing rise of Terence Crawford is HBO boxing analyst Max Kellerman. Max, he had a good, not great amateur career. Do you think he's shown so much focus as a professional that he's even better than he might have thought he was going to be?
No, I think that he believes he's great, and that's a self-fulfilling prophecy. He's very skilled. He's athletic enough and all that kind of stuff, but what separates him is that self-belief. I don't think he's surprising himself. He may be surprising everybody else.
Either he or PBC fighter Keith Thurman might become the next great American welterweight. How do you compare the two?
Love Keith Thurman. I mean, he has a big personality, big punch. He's everything you like to see in a fighter. I don't see him as on the same level as Terence Crawford. It'd be an interesting fight because he's a naturally larger guy than Crawford. But Crawford is in the top 10 pound for pound. And Keith Thurman has a ways to go before he gets there.
All right, thanks very much, Max. That's the way the continuing story of Terence Crawford's development played out here on HBO Boxing. Be sure to stay with us for another edition of Boxing's Best as we look back at Canelo Alvarez versus James Kirkland. Don't miss a moment of the action as the 2015 edition of Boxing's Best continues this week here on HBO. Next up on Boxing's Best, we take you back to the slugfest between Mexican star Canelo Alvarez and rugged James Kirkland. Monday, December 28th, features two of the sport's most offensive fighters, Lucas Matisse and Ruslan Provodnikov, followed by a welterweight showdown between Timothy Bradley and Brandon Bam Bam Rios. Tuesday, December 29, an abundance of action awaits. First up, it's Big Drama Show, Gennady Golovkin versus David Lemieux for the middleweight title. And then, one of the best fights all year, a lights-out showdown between Takashi Miura and Francisco Vargas. And on Wednesday, December 30, Boxing's Best concludes with a crossroads fight in the middleweight division, proud Puerto Rican Miguel Cotto taking on Mexican star Canelo Alvarez. And immediately following that, it's a little drama show. Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez taking on Brian Valoria. HBO Boxing is back in 2016 with a light heavyweight rematch. Sergey the Crusher Kovalev takes on Jean Pascal at the Bell Center in Montreal. Visit InsideHBOBoxing.com for up-to-the-minute information on upcoming fights and more boxing programs.